She was in my driveway, screaming in my face like a banshee, telling me I couldn't live in the house I had just dropped nearly $300,000 on. And the worst part, she knew my work schedule, the exact time my wife got off her night shifts, even where she stopped for coffee. That's when the pit in my stomach turned ice cold. This wasn't just some HOA busybody, this was someone who had been watching me, studying me like a predator waiting for its chance. When I first pulled up to that colonial on Maple Street, I thought my life was finally settling into place. I'd been grinding for 8 years at Morrison Construction, saving every penny with my wife Lena, who works brutal night shifts at the hospital. We poured our souls into buying this place, a 3-bedroom dream with an oak tree out front that felt like something from a childhood storybook. The closing process nearly killed me, but the day I finally carried the last box from our Honda, I felt like I was walking on air. And then she showed up. Perfect blonde bob, crisp white polo khakis like she was auditioning for a country club committee. She walked straight up the driveway like she owned it. "Excuse me?" She snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You can't live here. This property belongs to the HOA." I almost laughed. My mouth just hung open, cardboard box still in my arms. I'd read every single document twice. This house wasn't part of any HOA. But then she dropped the real bomb. Morrison Construction. Right? You leave every day at 7:15. And your wife Lena, she works nights at General Hospital, doesn't she? Stops for coffee on Elm Street first thing in the morning. I swear my hands went numb right there. How the hell did this stranger know my wife's coffee routine? She called herself Valerie Shaw, and when she smirked, I wanted to break something. And then, like some twisted cavalry, 3 more people came up behind her, 2 clipboard-holding women flanking her like bodyguards, and a sweaty, nervous guy in a polo shirt who couldn't look me in the eye. That was Greg, her husband, though I didn't know it yet. They started talking about property boundaries, monitoring community watch. Valerie even waved around a survey map that looked official enough to make me doubt myself for a second. And just as I was catching my breath, she dropped another grenade. She'd already contacted my company about my suspicious behavior. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. An email from my boss asking about neighborhood complaints. I hadn't even unpacked, and already this woman was trying to wreck my life. I told them to leave. Valerie just laughed this horrible, condescending laugh and muttered, "Newcomers always learn the rules eventually." The way she said rules made my skin crawl. That night, carrying in the mail, I spotted it. A small black camera mounted high in the branches of my oak tree pointed directly at my front door. I'd stood under that tree a dozen times during inspections, dreaming about hanging a swing for future kids. There was no way I could have missed it before. Valerie had installed surveillance on my property. My beautiful oak wasn't shade anymore, it was a damn watchtower. 3 days later, it escalated into insanity. I turned the corner and nearly drove into a telephone pole. A moving truck was parked squarely in my driveway, movers hauling furniture toward my front door while Valerie directed them like some general. For a split second, I thought I'd pulled onto the wrong street. Nope. My number was on the mailbox, clear as day, and there was Valerie waving a folder of inheritance documents in the air. "This house belongs to my late mother-in-law's estate," she announced loud enough for the whole neighborhood. This poor man was scammed. She actually tried to move into my house while I was gone, reverse burglary, bringing her own couch. I planted myself in the doorway, arms wide like a goalie, and yelled at the movers to stop. The police came. They skimmed her folder, skimmed my deed, and told her if she wanted to fight, she could take it to court. For the first time, I saw her mask crack rage twisting her face when she realized her little theater act wasn't working. She screamed about theft, corruption, stamping her feet like a child while the whole block watched. And when I checked my mailbox afterward, I found a spare key hidden in the slot. A key that wasn't mine. A key she must have copied back when the house was on the market. The idea of her slipping inside while Lena and I slept made me sick to my core. I was unraveling. Every day felt like a chess match I was losing. Then came the lowest point. Valerie filed a restraining order against me. She walked into court with her doctored recordings, our conversations sliced and spliced to make me sound like a thug threatening her family. The judge issued a temporary order which meant I had to stay away from my own damn house for 48 hours. I sat in that courtroom thinking maybe she was going to win. Maybe I should have just painted the garage door white or sold the house, cut my losses. For the first time in my life, I wondered if I'd made a colossal mistake buying this place. But then Robert Miller showed up. My neighbor, 68, retired accountant, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He knocked on my door one evening with a manila envelope stuffed under his arm. Inside were photographs of Greg practicing signatures at a coffee shop, bank records of payments to document prep services, and text messages between him and Valerie about their so-called inheritance recovery project. Robert had uncovered proof that Greg was the forger, the paper pusher, the nervous bystander who was actually orchestrating this fraud. And if that wasn't enough, my lawyer Aaron called with the nuclear bomb, Ruth's real will, filed with the county 18 months ago. It didn't leave the house to Valerie. It specifically excluded Valerie, and Greg said they were manipulative and financially irresponsible, unfit to inherit anything. The forgeries weren't just sloppy, they were completely fabricated. That snapped something in me. I wasn't the victim anymore, I was armed. 2 days later we walked into court. Valerie stood tall, folder in hand, pearls gleaming under the fluorescent lights. She tried to put on her wronged widow act, playing the victim for the judge. When it was my turn, Aaron unloaded. Handwriting experts pointing out forged loops and strokes, the county clerk confirming Ruth's will, Robert's photos of Greg practicing signatures, the bank records. Then Aaron played the unedited recordings, my voice clear and calm compared to Valerie's hacked-up versions. You could see the judge's face change, skeptical at first, then furious as the truth landed. Valerie lost it. She screamed about conspiracies, Christian persecution, corrupt courts. She pointed at me, shouting that I was destroying the fabric of America, until the bailiff dragged her out. Her meltdown hit the local news by dinner clips of her tantrum circulating like wildfire. The fallout was immediate. Investigators uncovered years of tax fraud, Valerie filing fake appeals on properties she didn't own, pocketing refunds. Kickbacks with contractors and a corrupt inspector named Mueller who cited families with bogus violations until they sold cheap. Greg, drowning in gambling debt, confessed once he realized Valerie planned to throw him under the bus. The whole rotten network, clerks, lawyers, inspectors, came tumbling down. But for me, the most vivid memory will always be that courtroom moment. Standing across from Valerie, heart pounding, as she finally realized her lies weren't going to save her this time. Watching the bailiff snap the cuffs onto her wrists while she still tried to shout about stolen inheritances and conspiracies. That image burned into my mind like sunlight through glass the moment the tyrant finally cracked. Never let anyone convince you that intimidation is the same as authority.